BLUF Gaming here with a tutorial covering diplomatic relations in Imperator Rome. You can open your diplomacy menu by clicking this button, or more frequently, just right-clicking on the country you wish to interact with. Your first option is typically to declare war, and, in the case of interacting with tribes, is sometimes followed by the option to demand tribal vassal status. After that, the rest of your options are divided into the alliance, access, influence, covert, and relation actions. When you perform one of these actions, it sends a diplomat to that country and you must wait a month before enacting another diplomatic action with that country. You may, however, perform diplomatic actions with other countries during that time. Your alliance actions are generally to offer alliance, offer a guarantee of independence, or to invite to a defensive league. An alliance is an agreement between countries to protect one another in any defensive war. And you also have the option to request that your allies join you in an offensive war, but they aren't obliged to join you on the offense. You can offer guarantees to weaker countries, which is a promise to defend the country in case they are attacked. This is separate from an alliance and can be used to improve relations with a smaller country. A defensive league is a type of multi-nation alliance that small countries frequently form together. As the name suggests, it's only for defense, but all members of the League are obliged to join in any defensive war. Access actions are simple for any Paradox veteran. It gives you the option to either request or give military access to another country. This allows a country to move their troops through another country's territory. It's fairly easy to get a country to agree, and granting a country military access to your country will improve their opinion of you by 10. However, you only have the option to give military access to a country if that country is currently at war with someone. Your available influence actions will vary depending on the type of country you're interacting with. Demand tribute, offer feudatory status, offer client status, intervene in war, enforce peace, threaten war, and sell city are your options. If you are already the overlord of another country, you'll also have the option to end that relationship here, and if they are a feudatory or client, you'll have the option to integrate the country. Demand tribute will attempt to convince a country to become your tributary, sending you a portion of their monthly income. Tributaries and vassals cannot be integrated into your country. Offer feudatory and client status are similar, with feudatories granting you manpower and clients granting monthly income. In both cases, these countries will be called into your wars automatically, and these country types may be integrated. Intervene in war and enforce peace are two options you have only if you are a great power. These options let large nations stick their nose in things which aren't their business, and the names of these options are pretty self-explanatory. Threaten war is an option you can use if you have a casus belli on a country with whom you have no truce. This tells the country to relinquish the cities on which you have the claims or face your wrath. Finally, if you have cities you want to get rid of, you also have the option to sell a city of yours to another country, and clicking it brings up an interface letting you select which country you want to sell to and what price to offer. Covert actions currently available are support rebels and fabricate claims. To support rebels, your country has to be a major or great power, and doing so will attempt to start a rebellion in the target country. Doing this increases the rate at which you gain aggressive expansion and gives your diplomatic reputation a -5 modifier while you maintain your support. You can cancel your support at any time once a month has passed since you began. Fabricating claims is a very simple process. Just spend the oratory power and select the province you wish to fabricate claims upon. After 1 month has passed, you'll be allowed to declare war. You can declare war on a country when you have no casus belli, but that will incur a -2 stability reduction. Finally, you have relation actions. Your country has an improve opinion maximum, which you can increase as you play the game. Using the improve opinion action with a country will slowly improve their opinion of your country every month until their opinion of you has increased by your maximum amount, at which point it will slowly decay again. You can also send insults to a nation. This will lower each nation's opinion of the other by 50 and grant the insulted country a casus belli against you, which further reduces your opinion of them by 25. The negative modifier from this insult takes a long time to repair, so use insults carefully. Finally, you can send a country a gift of gold. This instantly increases their opinion of you by 25, and that 25 points will instantly begin to decay. With both gifts and improve opinion efforts, Doing these actions multiple times will not increase a nation's opinion of you above the maximum 25 for gifts or your nation's individual improve opinion maximum. That's your bottom line up front. Stick around if you'd like to see more detail about diplomacy and each of these actions. Thanks for sticking around. I prepared for this tutorial by playing a Carthage Ironman game with the intent to expand as much as possible by becoming overlord to as many countries as possible, fully integrating them if I could. Sometimes accomplishing your goals is impossible without war, but I'm happy to report that I was able to vassalize and integrate far more than I had to conquer as I worked toward and eventually formed a new Carthage. By the time I formed a new Carthage around 93 years in, I had fully and bloodlessly integrated at least 10 nations, vassalized 7 tribes, and had 1 tributary and 1 feudatory. For comparison, I only conquered 6 or 7 nations through warfare in the same time. So if you were hoping for a more diplomatic approach to the game, it's entirely possible. Let's start with declare war. Declaring war is almost always an option, although you obviously won't be able to declare war on someone with whom you have a truce, alliance, or the like. If you're a republic, you won't be able to declare war on someone unless you have at least divided support in the Senate. When you declare war, you need to set a war goal. You should always have the war goal of show superiority, and if navies are involved, you will have the war goal of show naval superiority. Show naval superiority lets you gain war score so long as you're blockading your opponent's ports and they're not blockading yours. In a regular superiority war, your war score will start ticking up once you've accumulated 10 war score from battles. The issue with both of these war goals is that they are done without a casus belli, so starting these wars will reduce your country's stability by 2. Preferably, you'll have a casus belli before starting a war, and if you do, you'll have another option listed. You can gain casus bellis from in-game events and decisions, but it's more common that you gain them by fabricating them, which I mentioned during the intro. This screen also shows which of yours and your opponent's allies are going to join in the war. And if you have allies that you can call to the war, you can check by their names here. And this will be a green check or red X telling you if they're going to accept your invitation. If the country is a tribe, your next option will be to demand or cancel their tribal vassal status. To demand tribal vassal status, the first hurdle you will need to cross is getting their opinion of you above 100. 100 opinion alone is not always enough to get them to accept your demand. You can hover your mouse here to see what the current score is, and you need to have more positive than negative score before they will accept. There is a base negative 90 score that you have to overcome. Half of their opinion of you will be included as well, so if they have exactly 100 opinion of you, 50 will be added here. Your diplomatic reputation, positive or negative, will be included, as will a score based on your rank difference. This can be a rather severe negative modifier if your rank isn't high enough. Similarly with current strength, this can be positive or negative depending on your relative military might, and potential strength is reflective of how much manpower you have, so don't expect a very good score there if you're out of manpower. Other modifiers that can come into play are war exhaustion and border distance, as it's harder to convince someone the further away they are from you. Cultural and religious differences and aggressive expansion also play a role indirectly by affecting their opinion of you. You have a limited number of diplomatic relations slots, which are listed up here, and this limits how many agreements such as alliances you can take part in without having a penalty. One nice thing about tribal vassals is that they don't take a diplomatic slot. They also provide you with monthly manpower and plus 3% tribesman pop happiness for each tribal vassal you have. Unfortunately though, they can cancel their tribal vassal status whenever they please, and while they may join your wars, they aren't obligated to do so. You can't fully integrate a tribal vassal into your nation, however, by being your vassal, they do get a bonus to civilization, which increases the chance that they may one day upgrade their nation into something you can more easily integrate. On to alliance actions, let's take a look at alliances. In order to establish an alliance with a country, you need to have the same rank, meaning local, regional, major, or great power. If those two are the same, you can attempt to form an alliance and, similarly to tribal vassalization, you can look at where your score stands by hovering here. A word of warning that I discovered the hard way: if you're going to war with a nation and it's allied to one of your vassals, the vassalage is an optional agreement for them, so they very well could abandon being your vassal and join in the war against you with the ally you're attacking. More generally, alliances are fairly fickle and the AI cancels them often. While your alliances stand, your allies will have a plus 50 opinion of you, and you'll both be called into each other's defensive wars. You also have the option of requesting that they join your offensive wars. You can also cancel an alliance freely, however, it does come with some negative modifiers. Firstly, when you break an alliance, you enter a 10-year truce with that nation. Secondly, it lowers their opinion of you by 50, but this decays away over time. Declining someone's offer of an alliance also lowers their opinion of you. If a nation has a lower rank than yours, you can offer them a guarantee of independence. This improves their opinion of you by 10 and is a promise by you to defend them should someone declare war against them. A word of warning though, if you're planning to convince a smaller nation into letting you be their overlord, recall that the list of pros and cons determining if they will accept includes your strength as a potential modifier in your favor. You may think that guaranteeing their independence will help since you'll be improving their opinion of you by 10. However, once you guarantee them, they have less to gain from your strength as you've already promised that to them, so it will be harder to convince them to join you. You can revoke the guarantee whenever you wish, and unlike an alliance, breaking a guarantee does not give them a negative opinion modifier against you. A defensive league is a type of alliance for small nations where they can all band together to defend one another in case of attack. One of the league members is the leader of the league, and only the leader may invite other nations to the league. Defensive league members get a plus 25 opinion modifier of one another, and it's possible to be in both a defensive league and a standard alliance with a nation. Leaving a defensive league does not trigger a negative opinion modifier, and it's possible that, as you expand, you could grow too large to stay in a defensive league. There's no minimum opinion needed to invite someone to a defensive league, and the score showing that they'll join works much the same way as the other options we've seen so far. On to access actions. You can request military action to a nation at any time, but you'll need to mind the normal diplomatic decision scores on the right as usual. This allows you to move your troops through a nation freely and can be invaluable during a war. If they accept, it does not affect their opinion of you, but they may cancel it whenever they like. Opposite of that is giving military access. Nations will regularly ask for military access, and it's up to you whether you want to accept or not. Alternately, you can offer to give them military access, but only if they're already at war with someone. Once you've given someone military access, this increases their opinion of you by 10, so this can be a useful tool to increase the chance that they'll agree to a later agreement with you. Influence actions have the most options. Demand tribute, offer feudatory status, and offer client status all work similarly to demand tribal vassalage that we covered earlier. In terms of getting a nation to agree to any of those, the main difference is that each of them has a different base modifier. Demand tribal vassalage has base -90, tribute -80, feudatory has -140, and client -130. They must have an opinion of you at 100 or greater before you can attempt these, and only clients and feudatories have the option to one day be fully integrated into your nation. Clients and feudatories also cannot cancel this arrangement and must join your wars, while tributes and vassals may cancel and have the option to not join your wars. The benefits of these are that tributes and clients grant you income, whereas vassals and feudatories grant you manpower. If your client or feudatory have at least 190 opinion of you, you'll have the option to start integration. This takes a while, typically at least several years, but sometimes several decades, and you can cancel the process if you wish. Once the process completes, that country ceases to exist and becomes wholly part of your nation. You can reduce the integration time requirement significantly by taking a subjugative stance. And I realize stances weren't covered in the intro as it isn't a direct interaction with other nations, but I guess now is a good time as any. You can change your stance by clicking here in the diplomacy menu and spending 100 oratory power. As you can see, there are 5 stances, each with their own benefits, and subjugative grants you the integration speed boost. Having a higher diplomatic reputation also speeds up the integration process. All of the remaining options in covert and relation actions are fairly simple and were covered already in the intro, so I won't linger here unnecessarily. As you've probably noticed, you can see what diplomatic relations a country has in this center panel by hovering with your mouse, but it can be a bit difficult to go through them all if there are more than a dozen or so in a single category. Aside from accomplishing these actions diplomatically, you can also perform some as an ending condition of war, forcing a losing nation to release nations or cancel subjects if you wish, and likely more attractive, you can force countries to become subjects of yours, and this can be done for less war score and incurs less aggressive expansion than if you were to demand they cede provinces to you completely. I hope this has been helpful for you, and I'm sure I missed a few things, but I've had several commenters request this topic from me, so I wanted to get the video out by the time the game released. I mentioned earlier in this video that I played a Carthage Ironman game recently. I had to play a diplomacy-based game to get all the details for this video, and I decided that if I was going to play the game anyway, I might as well stream it, so I did my very first Twitch stream. I wasn't expecting much, but surprisingly, ended up with 100 or so viewers. I don't expect I'll be streaming much, as I prefer making tutorials, but if you're interested in watching my stream, I'm sure you can guess the name. I'll put the link in the description though, just in case you're interested. So that's it for now, and thanks for sticking around so long. Smash those buttons, I don't care which ones. Just know that if it's the dislike button, I'll convince a local stray cat to move under your neighbor's house and cry loudly every night about 20 minutes after you get in bed. Thanks for watching BLUF Gaming, and I'll see you next time.